before we do this video. Double check to make sure that it's good. Not really having a script for it, but all right. And here we go. So today in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit more candidly, a little bit more chest to chest, if you will, because it's something I'm, I guess, not really used to talking about my personal life, but this was a special occasion because I got to meet up with an old friend of mine that I haven't worked with in over a year. It's funny because I've been through so many life changes throughout the past year that it almost feels like it's been like 3 years. I've changed jobs about 3 times since the previous year, and I've got to experience a ton of things. I've got to experience a lot of fields. I got to work outside. I got to get my hands dirty. I got to work a nice, comfy, air-conditioned job, quote-unquote white-collar job. I got to be a blue-collar worker. My experiences has taken me, from different locations. I've got to see people from all walks of life. I've got to see how people in the real world work, and it's an interesting thing. You meet people who are apprehensive. You meet people who are mean on the surface, but they peel like layers of an onion. And then you get to meet some scummy people. You meet good people, kind-hearted people. In my travels, I've met different characters that I honestly thought time had passed by. Like what I've lived in 1 year, I feel like it's been 3. But today, I just want to talk a little bit about an interaction I had with one of my old friends from a job I used to have. And in this job, it was more like a warehousing job. It was more like heavy lifting, stuff like that. No real good air conditioning, but, that's the job you sign up for. But I met this guy around my last year working at the company. And what was weird was that, when I had joined a couple of years back, I was the new guy. Everyone there who was working with me, trying to package things, trying to package boxes and get them inspected for quality and everything like that. Everyone was probably like Gen X and before. I think pretty much the only youngest person besides me was probably millennial. Was probably the next youngest of the people who worked at the company. So I worked there for a number of years, and it got to the point where I was the last one from that original crew in the warehouse department. So I started to see more of the younger people, I guess the next set of people who had worked there, apply for the job. And I started to feel old. At that point, I wasn't really motivated and I wasn't really ambitious to be in the company anymore. So I knew that my time was running short. The young blood, they were all surpassing me. Pretty much, it was basically like a sign like, okay, your time's running out. Before that, I got to talk with a bunch of the new guys, and they're friendly enough, we work together. It's pretty normal. But today, when I went to lunch, this is one of the guys that I met last, on my last year there. And he was a pretty hardworking guy, he hustles pretty hard. This is the type of guy who had 2 jobs, pretty much worked out, did exercise, went to his first job, got out, went to his second job, and then went back home. And pretty much repeated that cycle every single day. And I like this guy. He was a pretty good going dude. What was weird is that at the start, he didn't really open up to me. Since we're all working our asses off trying to lift stuff together, and we need to cooperate with each other in order to send out the product out to the buyers, out to the customers. We have to be able to communicate with each other. And ever since I was the last one there, I really felt burnt out, and I really didn't feel like reaching out to anybody. But in this case, I did. I was starting to talk with him. Like, hey bro, what's up? Just trying to make friendly conversation. And what was odd was that when we caught up and we were talking, he mentioned to me that pretty much with everyone else that he worked there, it was pretty much just like no real friendships, no real meaningful relationships. It was just clock in, get work done, clock out, and then forget about everyone there. Like no one else exists. That's a sentiment that I can understand, and I understood that too. Especially when I first worked at the warehouse, it was kind of like, well, what are Gen Z and Gen X really gonna have in common? What else are we gonna talk about? It was one of the first times that I actually felt like I had some camaraderie, some type of like friendship. It's like in the struggle of working hard and trying to get your work done as quick as possible that you come to make the best out of a bad situation. And so it was good to finally feel like I had friends. Oh, there's some people that I can hang out with. We can talk about everything, pretty much everything there is under the sun. And, we can relate to each other a little bit. What was crazy was that, I always knew that from working at that job, it was pretty much one of those places where you knew it was a dead end place. I mean, I looked it up on Google Maps and the place literally has like a 1 star. So I should have probably checked into that before I joined up, but regardless of that, it's funny to me that I was able to make what I thought in my head were good friends at such a time where we were in a bad place, probably the worst place, one of the worst places to work at. And I just felt such happiness by the time I left that I got to meet these guys, and I was like, dang, I want these guys to be successful. I don't know where that feeling comes from, but it's like when you have a good feeling about someone, you know, that you're friends with, that you get to know them, and they're just easygoing, good people all around, that you just want the best for them. You want to see them win in life. And I mean, yeah, that's what I want for this guy. Trust me, guys, it's not gay, okay? I'm not gay, all right? It's just, I don't have many friends, so leave me alone, okay? Pretty sad to see that during pretty much the conversation, hearing that, like, the friendship groups were not that strong. Some people were fired, some people quit, and that the friendship groups didn't last as much as I would have liked to think. I mean, that's life, I guess. In my head, I was such good friends with these. We were talking, we would hang out almost like every weekend, that I thought to myself, like, these guys, if these young guys lived in a house together, they could probably make a clout house, or they could make a podcast together, you know, something that everyone seems to be doing these days. But it's so weird that as someone who has changed occupations so many times, the reason I feel this way for these guys is something that I feel that I felt myself, which is that feeling of working at a place that you know you don't want to be in for the rest of your life, but also having a backup, having a skill or having a little hobby that you like to do on the side that you know you enjoy, that keeps you happy. To me, there's nothing worse than just being at a place that you know is like a dead-end job. You know you don't want your future to be here. You don't want to be years here. Like, think of it this way. Getting an award from a place like you know that you don't want to be working at 10 years from now is like if you get an award for loyal employee of the year for 10 years, it would be an embarrassment, okay? That's how I felt. I felt kind of exposed not having a backup plan. But thankfully, around my last job, talking to people, editing clips, putting gameplay, doing my own thing, and tweaking a couple of things here and there was actually enjoyable to me. And frankly, if there is a message or if there is a point to this video, it's that you know you got good friends around you. If you want the best for them, if you want them to succeed at life, if you want them to kick life's ass. But number two is that don't put yourself in a position where you are in a dead-end job, a job you know you don't want to stay in forever, and then not have a backup. Always have something that you're passionate about. Always have something that you love learning about. The learning part is key here. If you work at a job like a 9-to-5 or like a restaurant or whatever like that, honorable, we all need those people. That's great. But frankly, I think for a lot of people, especially those who are high achievers, especially if you feel like there's something more to life than this, I actually agree with you. I think you should aspire to be more. I think you should always have a passion, like a skill set that you want to do. Because at least for me, the worst feeling you can have is to feel like you're in a rut, you're in a hole, like you've got nowhere else to go and you've got to be stuck here. You've got to be working a job that, number one, doesn't pay you enough for what you're worth, and doesn't treat you like a human being how you're being paid. It's not good for your mind. It's not good for your body. And these are things that I say now that I'm in a better place than I have been. But genuinely, I wish the best for this guy. If I could have friends, if I could have people I visit on a regular basis, bro, I just want to see these types of people succeed, you know. If you have anyone like that in your life, if you've got friends, cherish them. You know, you never know how long you have with them, but you know you've got a real friend when you want the best for them, bro. Far too often and for far too long, we don't realize how good we've got it. How many people are good, what good people have inside them, what people are capable of, you know, if they're allowed to flourish. So, yeah, I hope they find success. I hope that, you know, they figure out life, and I hope they prosper, bro. But, yeah, that's all I've got to say. Always have something in the back cooker on the stove burner, and have the type of friends, be the type of friend where you root for someone's success. All right, make sure that they get that W, and you know you're in good company. All right, peace.